episode number 27. Hi, you're listening to the Careers Beyond Motherhood podcast with your host, Gillian Esbrand. I'm here to help working mums like you to thrive in your careers and in motherhood. I share tips, strategies and inspirational conversations with awesome women to help reduce the struggle in your juggle.
Time for say, Mummy.
Hello, and welcome to the Careers Beyond Motherhood podcast. It is so awesome to be back behind this microphone. It has been way too long since I last recorded the podcast, and for those of you that are returning to the show, you know that there has been a name change, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But for those of you that are new, welcome. It is great to have you joining me today. Now, we had a little bit of a break because I had my second baby and I massively underestimated how much of a shift it was going to be going from 1 to 2 children. So I had to take a bit of a step back from the podcast and put a few projects down that I was working on because life is just a bit crazy and all a bit busy. So I am back now, and the reason why we changed the name of the podcast is because previously I was focused on helping my peers. You know that I'm a lawyer, and I was focused on helping lawyer mums figure out the juggle between practicing as a lawyer and raising a family. And since launching the podcast, I've worked with women from multiple different backgrounds. I have worked with lawyers, but also accountants and also marketing directors and creative people and just people from various different backgrounds, and realised that the challenges that we face as soon to be or working mums are universal. And so I'm broadening the scope of my practice and also the scope of this podcast so that we can dive into the issues that are relevant and that we face. So I'm really excited to look at your career beyond motherhood from different perspectives. So you may well be returning to your previous career that you built up before you became a mum, or you may have decided that now is a good time to change career direction and have a complete shift, or you may have decided that actually you quite like the flexibility that would come from freelancing or from launching your own business and building something of your own. So your post-baby career may look very different from somebody else's. So on this show, my aim is to provide different perspectives and to support you in your journey while you navigate this roller coaster ride that is working motherhood. So we're going to be having lots of interviews with inspirational women from various different backgrounds and walks of life who are going to share with us what their career beyond motherhood looked like. So I'll be asking questions around what their pre-baby career looked like, what shifts they made, what challenges they've had. So ideally we want to be inspiring other people to take the steps that they want to take and demonstrating there is no one size fits all approach. There are so many different ways that you can build and grow and develop your career post baby. And so I'm excited to share with you some of the interviews that we've already had and ones that I have lined up with some great inspirational women. I'll also be sharing with you on the podcast some really practical tips and strategies that you can implement in relation to your career. So I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited to be joining you each week. We have a corresponding Facebook group called the Careers Beyond Motherhood community. So I would love it if you would head over to Facebook and join us in the group so that we can continue the conversations that we're having on a weekly basis on the podcast. So coming up over the next 30 days, I'm going to be sharing with you some answers to some very common career related questions. So I've been doing a 30-day Q&A series on my Facebook business page, and I have been answering questions that have come up through my work with clients, through conversations with people, through observing the questions that people are asking in online communities around job searching as a mum, around returning to work, around juggling work and family life, and also around launching your own business. So I've been answering answering questions over the past month, and I've recorded those, and I'm going to be sharing the answers with you over the next 30 days on the podcast. So please do subscribe to the show if you haven't done so already, so that you get notified when each of the episodes go live. And if you would be interested in seeing the video footage that corresponds with the audio that you're going to hear on the podcast, then you can sign up for the 30-day Q&A video series bundle, where you can go and access all of the videos. Head over to www.lightboxcoaching.com/podcast and you can check out the show notes, where I will put a link to where you can sign up for the video bundle. Now, on to today. I just want to share with you one key thing that I want you to think about and take away from today's episode, and that is, what is your post-baby career vision? So we're going to be covering a lot on the podcast about how you can navigate your career journey post-motherhood, but it's really important for you to take some time to think about your vision. So what is it that you would like to achieve when it comes to your career? If I was to say, fast forward 2 years from now, in an ideal world, where would you like yourself to be? So I am a massive fan and advocate of starting with the end in mind. When you know where you're trying to get to, then you can work backwards and you can create a plan that's going to help you to get to where you want to get to. So I want you to really think about things now. What do you want life to look like? So what do you want your home life? What do you want your work life to look like? How do you want the two to integrate, and how do you want everything to look? So if you can map that out and you can take some time to think about that, then that can help you to make some of the tough decisions that may well be coming up for you, in terms of which direction you should take now, what you should be doing next, what you should be doing after that. So what is your vision? Where do you want to head? Where do you want to get to? That's my question for you, and I hope you can take that away today and have some time to think about that, and also note things down. It's always good to write things down, and so I would write it down in a journal or in your phone, somewhere where you can revisit it in the future, because it's powerful when you write things down and then you're able to see that you've actually moved closer to that goal, or you've achieved that goal, partly because you wrote it down and that your subconscious is working to help you to make that happen. And also partly because the act of writing it down makes it seem real and makes it seem doable and more possible. So I really encourage you to go and do that. And I'd love it if you come over to the Facebook group and share with us, what is your vision? What is your post-baby career vision? I'd love to know, and I'd love to engage with you in the group. So that's the Careers Beyond Motherhood community on Facebook. So come over and join us there. All right, so that's all from me today. I look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye. This music was brought to you by Sound.